This week on the Trent Out Loud Podcast. Yo, man, like that literally really sums up the 6 seasons. SnowFall is finally over. The final episode has aired, and I can finally talk about how much I love this show, where it places in the top 10, or actually, sorry, in the top 5 of all-time Black shows, and I want to talk about the ending. All right, so first of all, let's place this. My list in particular of Black scripted streaming shows are this: The Wire at number 1, SnowFall. Hold on, let me bring up my list. Wire number 1, SnowFall number 2, Insecure at number 3, Euphoria at number 4. I would just like to mention Euphoria. Shout out to Zendaya. Euphoria, it's possible that Euphoria makes it into top 3, but Euphoria is not over yet. But I absolutely love that show. Like it could be in my top 3, but it hasn't ended yet. So presently it's at the 4th spot. And then of course, rounding out the last is Power. Gotta shout out 50. When you're talking about Black scripted streaming shows, you have to include something in the Power universe. Ghost is still going on. BMF, there's Force, there's what's the other one? Raising Kanan, all dope, but of course, Power is up there. It might be the best, although Ghost is kind of good. People kind of, say they're a little weary of the spinoffs and stuff, but Ghost 3rd season is actually pretty dope, man. Anyways, that's my top 5. I like to give 3 honorable mentions. Scandal was super dope, and I do consider that a Black show, but it was on a network. You couldn't really get and dive deep into some dark corners because of how terrestrial TV is. I think if that was on a streaming platform, it could have been in my top 5, but shout out to Scandal. That was a super dope show. Top Boy could make it in the top 5. I don't know who I would take out to fit Top Boy in there, but Top Boy 2nd season was crazy. I love Top Boy. And the fact that you just get another perspective of how Black life is in England and that gangster life. Where's the food, man? Where's the food, man? Where's the food, bruv? I love that shit, man. But yeah, it's dope to get a different perspective of how it is to be Black, and impoverished, and turning to the streets and all of that shit. It's very similar to our way of life, in the U.S. and Canada, but of course it's different out there, and the language is different. Anyways, Top Boy, super dope show, but again, only 2nd season. It can't get into the top 5, but it could. I don't know who I would take out. And last, The Chi, always a dope show. Always, Chicago's my 2nd favorite city in the U.S. Shout out to New York, Queens. But yeah, so The Chi. Anyways, that's my top 5. The Wire. I don't think anything will ever beat The Wire, because all of these other shows pull from The Wire. The Wire is the mecca of all Black scripted series shows. And if you have never watched it, trust me, that's such a dope show, man. Idris Elba, that's the show that that broke him out, right? Anyway, so The Wire, SnowFall, Insecure, Euphoria, Power, top 5. All right, let me talk to you about SnowFall. It's such a good show. For those of you who don't know what the show's about, the premise is that legendary story about the CIA and Ronald Reagan bringing drugs into the U.S., bringing cocaine so that it could be sold in the streets, so that they had money to fund their wars. And I think it's pretty much been proven. There's been movies made about it, but there's never been a show from the perspective of actually what these drugs are doing to the community. And even if there was, never to this in depth. I'm talking 6 seasons of Franklin comes, from selling 1 brick to moving weight all across LA, South Central, and really growing his empire. And Damson Idris, he killed it, man. They're saying that Damson is the next Denzel Washington, And just the acting. John Singleton was one of the creators, who's the guy who made Boys in the Hood. He's made a bunch of other movies. Shout out to John Singleton, and rest in peace, obviously. But he was one of the creators of the show. And just a perspective of these kids from South Central LA working with the CIA and making millions upon millions of dollars. And I don't want to spoil it for those who haven't seen it, but I mean, I'm sure you can figure out, right? The CIA obviously doesn't care about these black kids in the hood. So eventually by, season 5 or 6, they start, I don't want to give it away, but they start, doing some shady shit. The government, obviously, they're already bringing in these drugs, quote unquote, illegally. So of course, Franklin, the main character, played by Damson Idris. I'm getting confused with The Wire. He gets caught up. He of course makes millions and millions of dollars, but then things start happening. And the thing that I really love about the final season, and this is up to argument if some people really necessarily love how it ended, but he ended up, the CIA broke ties with him and stole his money. And, he went from, being a kid with nothing to having upwards of close to $70 million, $75 million. And it was all stolen from him, from the CIA. And in the last couple of episodes, he was working and to try to get that money back and fighting. And he just lost himself completely. To the point where he started doing things that were out of his character, to the point where people, his family members, his friends were like, yo, dude, you're like, it's too much now, man. Like, take your losses, cut your losses, and just go. And he was so adamant. And it just shows how, how these kids got so addicted. They come from nothing into the addiction, not only to the drugs, like that's not what the show really focuses on. Of course, you see the detriment that it does to one of the actors, girlfriends of, being addicted to crack, and then she gets rehabilitated. But to show you what the addiction to this drug money does to our community and what it did to Franklin, and I saw a post on social media that really, really summed up the last episode. I'll just get it here for you guys. It's really good. To see Franklin super stressed over $73 million, then to get stressed over $37 million, then to get stressed over $3.5 million, then by $800,000, then by $129,000, then by $1,000, and that's when you knew it was finally over. And finally, in the last episode, you see him smile just to get $20 put in his hand. It was like, yo, man, like that literally really sums up the 6 seasons, and to show like, man, the evolution of drug money and hustling and in the streets and what it could do to you, and to see him be so down and out. Fine, spoiler alert, sorry, but for him to be so down and out, close to in the final episode, for him to be down and out, and to be bumming money, and to be putting his hand out and being so happy to get $20 when you see everything that he went through in the whole series. I thought it was really well done. Of course, I would have loved to have seen him get a couple of mil out the deal. Of course, maybe you can get a 75 mil back or half of that or whatever. It was actually his mom that stood in the way. His mom was like, I would rather see you not have the money than to actually get that money, because she felt like the money was ruining him, and it was ruining him, and she stood in the way of the money getting to him, and his life still ended up getting ruined. So that's the one part that I was like, oh, like it kind of. But anyways, I think John's point was to show the detriment of what the drug game and hustling can do. It's not only, what the drugs can do in our communities and in our hoods, but also the addiction and what some of these guys will end up doing for money. And 9 times out of 10, they end up losing most of the money or end up in jail, and of course, or end up dead. So sure, we would have loved to have seen a fairy tale ending, and of course, seen Franklin on a boat and a yacht with his wife and kids and living it up, but we all know that that's not what that life brings, right? So anyways, shout out to SnowFall, shout out to the whole team, shout out to John Singleton, shout out to Idris. Oh my gosh, I keep mixing up the names. Shout out to Damson Idris and that whole team, man. Yo, top 2 Black scripted series of all times. Salute. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It's your boy, Trent Out Loud. Peace!